My name's Jordan Roberts. I'm the account manager at Connors Group. If you haven't heard of us, we're an industrial engineering consulting firm. We focus on retail as well as supply chain consulting. I've been with the company for about 5 years. My background's probably a little bit more unique than some of the folks in the room. I came from a manufacturing background. I worked at General Electric for 7.5 years, came into consulting, did delivery, and then got into business development. What I want to talk about today is how we maximize the return on talent and close the leadership gaps across the network. So a couple objectives for us today. We want to understand how frontline leaders impact performance as well as the challenges that they face in today's environment. We're going to introduce the Connors Group framework for leadership effectiveness, which is essentially built on leader standard work. So some of you in the room who have been operators may have heard of leader standard work. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how we connect people, process, and technology to really get the most out of leadership effectiveness. And we really focus in that order. We don't want to throw technology at a solution before we've got the people and the process right. And then we'll talk a little bit about, as leaders, how do we identify where there are gaps in leadership effectiveness and how do we address them? And then lastly, how do we apply that framework to implementation? So one thing about Connors Group is we don't like to just tell you what you should do. We want to be a part of the solution and help you implement it. So I'm sure everybody in the room has been asked a time or two about a return on investment. Some of the folks in the room may have been working on ROIs today in terms of technology or equipment. What I want to talk about is the return on talent. So how many times have we asked ourselves or have been asked about the return on talent? Probably not often, right? And we believe that frontline leaders are truly the backbone of daily execution. So it's where the rubber meets the road. It's where problems are solved in real time. And at the end of the day, it's when the day is either won or lost. What we see is that many organizations are challenged day in and day out with standardizing tasks, so across roles, as well as from sites to sites. So especially when we get into organizations that have large supply chain networks with 5, 10, 20 distribution centers, are we standardizing what those tasks and roles look like across the sites? We also see organizations challenged with onboarding new employees. So we're turning over more employees now, today, than we ever have before. The last client I was working with, in most of their DCs, they're turning over between 95 to 100% of employees year over year. So you can think about the toll that takes on supervisors, managers to hire those employees. There was one instance where I was observing second shift operations and saw over 40 new hires being onboarded for a single shift in a single day. And I asked, is this normal? And they say, we face this every single day. 40 people. So you can imagine the cost associated with it. You can imagine the toll on the time that it pulls managers away from doing their day-to-day activities. In addition, just the emotional toll that it takes, right? We invest our heart and soul into onboarding employees, and then to see them walk out the door after 3 or 4 days is gut-wrenching. And then lastly, we see where organizations struggle with standardizing continuous improvement. So most everybody talks about continuous improvement. Most everybody does continuous improvement. We call it continuous improvement in a vacuum, right? Unless it's standardized and we have a standard approach to it, it's really hard to move the needle for the organization. And then over to the right here, there's 3 main challenges that we see to execution, right? So it's either the skill gap, leaders lack either the training, they lack the knowledge or the tools to do their job effectively. It could be the will gap. So maybe they lack motivation or confidence to lead effectively. Or lastly, it could be the time gap, right? So we're all impacted by the time gap, either in our personal lives or professionally. We see where the 8-hour day turns to a 10-hour day, the 10-hour day turns to a 12-hour day, and essentially the 14-hour day becomes the new standard. And then we ask ourselves, well, why are we lacking the will gap, right? The will gap was there on day one, but over time, it starts to erode because of either the skill or the time. So what we want to focus on today is really solving the skill and the time gaps to maximize our return on talent, which in fact will improve the will gap as well. So what is the ROI of leadership effectiveness? So sound leadership effectiveness is really based and built on SQDC outcomes. So safety, quality, delivery, and cost. These behaviors drive performance indicators, right? So we believe that improved coaching and development will increase safety scores, will decrease picking errors, will increase order fill rate, and then reduce cost per unit. We also believe that clear ownership and accountability improves empowerment with our employees, and we're talking real empowerment. So everybody talks about what, we want to empower our leaders, but real empowerment means celebrating problems. It means celebrating identifying problems so that we can go after them, own them, and solve them. And then lastly, clarity of roles. So we want to define the roles and responsibilities for every single role within the distribution center, not just what you own, but also what you don't own. We were implementing leader standard work at a client, and I went up to one of the supervisors, and I asked him, hey, how's it going? And he goes, it's actually going a lot better than I thought. He goes, I thought you guys were just going to come and give us a bunch of additional tasks than what we were doing today. And he goes, you actually took tasks off my plate. And he goes, for the first time in 14 years that I've worked here, we've had real conversations about the tasks that we're asking people to do. He goes, instead of working 13 hours, I can now get out in 10 and see my family, right? So those are the real changes that we get excited about is, yeah, we still have to go to work every day and we still have to do our job, but are the tasks that we're asking people to do clearly aligned with safety, quality, delivery, and cost? And if they're not, we should be asking ourselves, should we still be doing those tasks? So I want to talk about our framework and how we roll this out. So leadership effectiveness, as I mentioned earlier, it's really built on the foundation of leader standard work. And put simply, leader standard work is the what of the job. So what is expected of me on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly, quarterly, yearly, etc. And so what we want to do is start by understanding and listening to our client, right? So steal one of Josh's phrases earlier, some good old-fashioned consulting. What's the problem we're trying to solve? So we do that through structured ideation sessions. We get key stakeholders involved. We understand where things broke down in the past, how we got to where we are in current state. And then we take a boots-on-the-ground approach to observing the work that's being done. So at the supervisor level, the manager level, all the way up to the director level, we want to understand the work that's being done from the start of the shift to the end of the shift. From there, we do multiple observations across sites. So a lot of large supply chain organizations, as you know, will have sites with multiple generations. They might have a Gen 1 facility, Gen 2, Gen 3. We want to ensure that we're observing processes within each one of those generational sites. From there, we start to compare our observations and validate the results. Okay, so where are the best practices internally? What are external industry best practices that we can apply? And how do we put that into a standard work documentation that eventually might go into some of Eric's solutions with Honeywell in terms of task management or some of the other various providers of task management. But if we don't do the legwork ahead of time, the software doesn't really help us. In addition, we also want to provide detailed SOPs and work instructions, which I would describe as the how, right? So if leader standard work is the what, we also need to provide the how for those tasks. And we often get asked, how far do we go with documentation, right? And somebody asked me, do I need documentation to tie my shoes? Maybe, but probably not, right? And a good litmus test is if an employee on day one cannot do that task, you should have work instructions for that task, right? So that's kind of where we view that. And then lastly, how do we enable it with tools, right? So standard templates, dashboards, reports, et cetera. I'll buzz through this one pretty quick, but we always start with people first, right? So what are the roles and responsibilities within the DC that we need? And then how do we standardize the processes via leader standard work task, and then ultimately supplement with technology. So what should we look for if we say, hey, do we have a breakdown in leadership effectiveness at our site, right? So the first place to look is tools and templates. Are we using standardized tools and templates for the same processes? If we have 3 versions of the Excel spreadsheet to do the same task, might be an opportunity to standardize it. Do we have defined leadership roles from site to site? Yes, there is some variation that we see, right? Depending on technology that we have inside the DC that would warrant having different types of roles. But typically, we would want the same type of leadership structure and roles. And then the same with site consistency. Do we have the same type of processes and audits? Or are we going off the rails and having multiple different types of processes for the same type of facility? And then I touched on this a little bit before, but new leader onboarding. So what does it look like when we onboard new leaders? On paper, it might show that it's the same process, but in reality, when there's 40 employees starting on the same day, it might be tough to give each one of those employees the same experience, right? So the first 90 days are critical, right? So you find out a lot whether that person's going to stay or not within the first 90-day probation period. We want to ensure that all of the training, whether it's computer-based training, on-the-job training, our train the trainers is all as consistent as possible. And then lastly, what to look for is consistent site execution, right? So when we have multiple sites that are both mature sites, but we have very different levels of execution, something is off. We need to dig into either the people or the processes to understand why that is. And all that being said, drives higher turnover cost, right? So we estimate the cost of turnover to be anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 a year per person. In some of these networks that we work with, Fortune 500 companies that have 10, 20,000 people in the supply chain with 95 to 100% turnover costs can exceed 80, 100, 120 million a year. So this is a significant cost for organizations. Okay, so taking it from the old school spreadsheets and pen and paper to applying technology to help our frontline leaders. So we talked about task management earlier. I know Honeywell offers a version of task management, also has AI involved in it as well. But what are the key components that we look for? And most providers have this, right? So task creation and assignment. How is what we're doing driving or impacting our metrics? And if we're not seeing positive results, then that should be a trigger for us to go back to the drawing board and question the tasks that we're asking folks to do. Are they truly adding value? And then the last piece, which is arguably the most important piece, it's sustainment and governance. This is where it's what I would call the engine of continuous improvement, right? So everything I've talked about up until now is focused on standardization. It's focused on onboarding employees, which is all great and important, but where you get the true return on investment is when we're driving continuous improvement, right? So I always like to say leader standard work is the first version and it should never be the last, right? And it's really a baseline to compare all improvement opportunities against in the future. And we have this as a cycle because it's continuous, right? It's not linear. This is an ongoing process that should always be evaluated. All right, I know I'm out of time, so I will talk through just a couple key takeaways. Great leadership multiplies talent, so it unlocks the full potential of your workforce. Clarity and consistency create confidence, trust, and stronger engagement. And I would argue it creates better conversations that may not have happened in the past, Should we be doing this task? Should we not? Is it adding value or is it not? The right balance of people, process, and technology fuels sustainable success, and we truly believe it should be in that order. Oftentimes we see clients want to solve a problem with technology, but they haven't addressed the people or process piece of it first. Strong leaders turn retention and performance into lasting advantage, so we need to use our people as an agitator for continuous improvement. And then lastly, without standards, there can be no improvement, right? It's just improvement in a hamster wheel. And that's by 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚, who is the father of the Toyota production system. And with that, that's all I have. Thank you, and I hope to connect later on the riverboat cruise.